This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. It's that time of year again, the results are in, we have our official Oxford Word of the Year for 2025, and it is ragebait. Ragebait is defined as online content deliberately designed to elicit anger or outrage by being frustrating, provocative or offensive, and typically posted in order to increase traffic to or engagement with a particular web page or social media content. Now, creating content which is designed to elicit anger by being frustrating or offensive or deliberately diversive in nature is not very hard. Almost everything discussed online does it, from people's opinions on books to horrific incidents happening in the world, including people's opinions on those. And rage baiting obviously exists in many forms, from videos of people cutting up food items in illogical ways to people wearing excessive makeup or making a mess when they do it, contrarian political comments, people being wasteful, or people saying obscene misinformation and lies, or being purposely obtuse. The Oxford Word announcement read as follows, quote, "With 2025's news cycles dominated by social unrest, debates about the regulation of online content and concerns over digital well-being, our experts noticed that the use of ragebait this year has evolved to signal a deeper shift in how we talk about attention, both how it is given and how it is sought after, engagement and ethics online. The word has also increased threefold in usage in the last 12 months, according to language data." Which is sort of interesting to me, because I feel like ragebait was a word 2 years ago, maybe 1 year ago, so the idea that it's actually increased fascinates me. But obviously it makes sense, rage is a huge moneymaker. Newspapers have known this for centuries. The more you anger your audience or share something that will anger them, the more they will interact with it, and obviously with you. So for newspapers, that was buying more papers, but now it's sharing more articles with others, resulting in more clicks, comment section that fuel people engaging with it and then coming back to the same webpage to re-engage with it, etc. Now, research co-authored at the Cambridge Judge Business School, based on analysing articles from 4 major news outlets alongside related Facebook and Twitter posts, found that social media users are 1.91 times more likely to share news articles that are negative rather than positive. And this study was based on 95,282 articles between 2019 and 2021, with the UK-based Daily Mail and Guardian and the US-based New York Times and New York Post, and 579 million posts on Facebook and Twitter. So it's not exactly a small study. The research also found that users were more likely to post negative content about political groups that they opposed, and Facebook users were found to write 98% more posts about negative arguments and articles than positive ones. Now, needless to say, political parties have also known for centuries that rage is one of the most effective ways to mobilise your political group, meaning ragebait became a huge trend within political spaces with the rise of social media. And for the past 2 decades, people online have followed the same formula and made a lot of money doing so. Now, many creators will put on a character and earn hundreds of thousands of pounds from those characters, if not millions. And last year, I remember there was an article on the BBC about this influencer who I'd never heard of, called Winter Zezu, who told the BBC that she made over $150,000 through rage baiting on TikTok by merely making remarks that her biggest problem in life was being too pretty. I'm just being frank, that's a hell of a lot of money to make in a single year on social media. For context, for those of you who aren't potentially social media people, that's 10 times more than I've earned in my lifetime on YouTube over 14 years. So if you can make that much money in a single year, I can understand why people do it, quite frankly. But before we go any further into our discussion on ragebait, I'd like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it super easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place and all on your terms. As I've gone through many iterations of my who I am online, Squarespace has actually seen all sides of me, from blogging to running a business. Things that I'm thinking about starting in the new year was like working on my own workshops or courses, which I can host on my Squarespace website, which allows for members only content. So I can have a community on there and I can sell access to online courses, blogs, videos, or memberships, and purchases can be anything from a one-time fee to subscription access. And then when it comes to evolving my business, I can make smarter business decisions with Squarespace's intuitive built-in analytics tools, which lets me review my website traffic or learn where to focus my engagement, track revenue from my bookings or invoices or product sales, again, all in one place. So if you're interested, check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Lady of the Library to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It's such a moneymaker because Rage inspires people to engage far more than wholesome or positive content. We can scroll for hours on cute videos of dogs and cat rescues and finding their new homes, or funny clips from comedians that we love, or cozy content, and we do so without ever commenting on it or even liking those videos. However, the second one of us sees something enraging, we feel compelled to respond. Speaking of which, let's see if I can get you to comment right now. So we're just watching a normal video. I am not doing any rage baiting, however, I may do cute baiting. So this is Sappho, and she's the newest member of our family, and she's absolutely adorable. She's a miniature dachshund, and she's so sweet. Hello, my dog. You don't want to lick my face. I'm wearing makeup. I don't want you to get ill. So yes, we now have 3 dogs. We have Ithaca, Atticus, and Sappho. And believe it or not, my partner named her, not me. So it's just meant to be, isn't it? And so take that, all the boys in my school who thought they were being so clever by voting me the girl who was most likely to be a crazy cat lady. Joke's on you, I'm a crazy dog lady instead. There you go, you can go down and play. Now, because you are my audience, many of you may feel compelled to make a comment about Sappho. But most of the time, most of us don't really engage that way unless you're prompted by something in particular. Are you okay? She knocked over something and it scared her a little bit. But she's fine. She's moving on to chew my slippers. However, when it comes to rage bait, it engages with us in a very, very different way than cute, wholesome content. Most people engage with it in an attempt to fix the horror that's before them. You know, people become angry, so they comment on it, and then they may return to that content again and again as other people engage with their comment, and if other people are responding to it in a contrary way, you'll re-engage with that content multiple times, thus getting more views. What is the dog doing behind me? She was dragging something that was larger than her body weight, but we'll find out later. Anyway, additionally, if something has really upset you or really angered you, you're more likely to share it with your friends, you'll share it and discuss, or even rewatch it and revisit the content multiple times to see if other comments agree with you, and then those people may talk about it on podcasts, or you may listen to multiple people talk about the same thing on other podcasts, and then other people make content about it, so therefore it gets more engagement. And most people's puppies do not elicit that kind of engagement at all. People don't revisit to see the dog over and over again, people don't watch the same video of happy news over and over and again, and they don't engage with it the same way. Hence why you can see people make a lot of money off it. Now ironically, the only reason my channel is the size it is today was because I responded to a alleged rage baiter, one who I called Bear Ears, a TikToker who claimed that Rome did not exist. Now funnily enough, I just found it kind of sort of fascinating, so I thought it'd be fun to do an extensive essay debunking everything they were talking about. However, what was rather funny was I received 2 types of comments. One were people remarking that they were happy that I didn't go into personal terms. I just talked about the facts, I didn't talk about them or make comment on them. But there were a few people who were upset with me that I wasn't getting angrier. Like, they wanted me to be angrier. Now, other creators out there had responded to that TikToker in a more animated way. They showed visceral rage, frustration, anger. They sort of resorted to throwing a few insults about them. And I could tell from some comments that people were disappointed in me for not doing the same way. I mean, one, the irony would be that as a woman, I'm frequently told off for being too emotional in my videos, despite strictly scripting them in order to avoid such accusations. So I knew that even if I had wanted to respond that way, I would never have been taken seriously. But I didn't want to respond that way because that's not who I am. I'm not that person in real life, so I'm not going to act that way just because it's a popular way to perform on the internet, because it gets a lot of people riled up, because people then find it almost comforting to see that rage performed by someone else. It's always seemed rather like an odd relationship. You know, people have watched other people respond angrily, and they crave to see more people respond angrily, almost as though they wish to justify their own anger and connect with others via that emotion. People want rage to live on. They want to keep fanning the flames, and hence why the same audience will watch multiple videos criticising certain celebrities or influencers, and why drama channels thrive and prosper despite them all on a daily basis talking about the exact same topic almost verbatim as other drama channels, but they'll all get the same amount of views. I think the reason that's such an addictive cycle people get into is that Outrage has the most perfect narrative structure. Outrage creates an instant villain, in conflict, stakes, moral clarity, which is basically the fastest story recipe one could whip together, and the most digestible one for its consumers, who play the role of the good guy. And thus the rage economy, like the fast food economy, has a formula that is cheap to produce and incredibly profitable, as it's expensive to our attention and our emotional bandwidth. What are you doing, young lady? She's nibbling on my basket. Sappho! Up. Good girl.
Yeah, come here. Come sit on Mummy's lap.
I don't think people realise how much what they're consuming online is affecting their brain chemistry, effectively. Constant rage keeps the brain in a state of hyper-arousal, and this chronic activation keeps stress hormones like cortisol elevated, preventing your prefrontal cortex from logic and reasoning, and from fully engaging. You are not allowed on my desk. I know you want to go on there, but you'll knock over the camera. And that is why you go on the floor. Now, over time, having an elevated levels of cortisol reduces our focus and concentration, as energy is obviously diverted away from high-level tasks like learning to maintain hyper-arousal. And this also impairs our memory, as cortisol shrinks the hippocampus. So if you're feeling like you can't concentrate as much, if you can't do your work as easily as much, and if you feel like your memory is failing, it could be all down to cortisol and what you're consuming online. And with our brains being as plastic as they are, the brain shortens the pathways to that emotion in our brain. So it literally shortens our fuses, hence the term, and makes us easier to anger. And as a result, we become less empathetic and less capable of taking thoughtful, critical perspectives on things that we consume. So in other words, the rage economy actively works to short-circuit our brains, making us less capable of reflection, less capable of reading deeply, thinking critically, and engaging in our intellectual humility. What are you up to, young lady? This is actually her first time in the library, because she's been kept in the other room, and she's having a whale of a time exploring all the nooks and crannies, so that's going to be fun to monitor as I'm filming. Oh, someone's found her voice. Why are you barking at your sister? So as you can imagine, rage bait incentivizes us away from complexity and nuance of interpretation, and Outrage offers an instant moral identity without the need for research or knowledge. Jakelis?
Yeah. You are little squiggly bugs, and your little paws.
I'm just like looking at her dance in front of the camera. Hello. She's just squeaking and raging. She wants to go with Ithaca. Oh, you got my hair. Sorry. It's alright. Love you. Now, I know technically as someone who's presenting themselves as a researcher online, I should at this point give specific examples of influencers or reality television stars or celebrities who engage in rage bait and include those clips of their content here, but I'm not going to. And that may be bad form in terms of my status as a researcher, but I'm going against my usual standards today because honestly, I don't want to consume any of that mind-numbingly thoughtless content. Because if I'm being completely honest, I don't care. I don't care about them, I don't care about anything they talk about, and I don't want to be forced to care about pointless issues by random strangers online, so desperate for attention that they'll employ manipulative tactics to extort emotions from thousands, if not millions of people online for their own monetary gain. I'm also not downloading any social media apps, so take that as well. But quite frankly, I don't think it would be intellectually stimulating to psychoanalyze them or discuss their tactics, because it would be a sad waste of life. I don't I don't want to. I don't want to touch them, quite frankly. I don't think there's anything to be gained from giving such people any form of intellectual credibility by transposing academic theories or methodologies onto their actions and performances. It's such lazy content, it's manipulative and it's not clever, and as such, it doesn't deserve my time or attention, nor does it deserve yours. And you know what? I have no idea how creators who produce rage bait stomach it so much. Because even when I wrote a remark earlier in the script about how I, as a woman, am conscious that I'm not really expected to show rage or emotions online because I'm emotional compared to men, I was scared that I would upset any men out there that watch me. I didn't want to be, not all men kind of thing. I get upset about offending basically anyone all the time. So the idea that people do that intentionally, of upsetting and angering complete strangers for their own fun, it just, what? I don't know how you live with yourself. I stay awake at night thinking about how I badly replied to a comment, or that, I said something and people misconstrued it that way and I overthink it. I'm like, oh no, that's not what I meant. Maybe I'm a little bit lucky as well. Rage bait seems to have eluded me. Perhaps I've been a victim to it now and then, primarily in my comment section. But when people give examples of benign rage bait, I'll call it, when people eat a burrito sideways or they cut the middle out of a cake or pizza, I've never understood why people react to that with anger. It's not my burrito. Why do I care how someone else eats it? If you're eating my burrito that way, I'll be more pissed off that you ate my burrito, regardless of the methodology of which you approached said burrito. If it's not my cake, why do I care how someone else cuts it? If you get to eat it, that's absolutely fine. But perhaps the people who get angry at those things were sort of very similar to the children at the playground who got angry when other children didn't play their game exactly how they wanted to play it. It's like kind of same logic. Whereas for me, I was far too grateful as a child that someone was willing to play with me than to risk rocking the boat by being anal about how they played with me. Just like, don't notice that I'm ugly. I've been accused of rage bait before, once upon a time. I think I gave an opinion, but I can't remember what about. And people went, this is such rage bait. I went, no, it's just my opinion. And I think people have become a bit deluded that people can have opinions that they don't agree with. I think everything's now being cast as rage bait when it's just a disagreement. Maybe it's becoming more mainstream. Maybe I don't use social media, I don't browse it. I go on to post and then delete the app. So I'm one of those people that literally will download it to post something and then delete it again. And I don't scroll on things. So maybe I'm lucky in that I've avoided most ideas of rage bait. But don't engage with rage bait. People who have gone down a very oppositional place to you are not going to be changed by a comment on the internet. But what can change is you investing time and money and energy into resources, into charities, into organisations that do the opposite of what that person is talking about or spewing hate about. And the chance of them, I'm not sure how they believe in it, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know who that random username is. I'm not going to change their mind with a comment, but I can change someone's life by donating a certain amount of money to a charity for that cause, or supporting my local library, or whatever it is that you care about. So your energy is limited, and we know the many ways in which the internet is ruining our brains. Do not allow for your hippocampus to be shrunk. Do not allow for your cortisol levels to be increased and be in a constant state of hyperarousal and find yourself flailing, not able to concentrate, not able to work and think deeply and read deeply, all because you're engaging with rage bait online. It's too damaging for you. It is affecting your brain, and it's affecting everyone's brains, and we need to be conscious about it. But thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. And thank you mainly to my Patreons and my wonderful librarians. We have Silver Changeling, the Lazy Grindstaff. I don't know why I said the before Lazy Grindstaff. You're now the Lazy Grindstaff. Joshua Heredia, Gil the Gilded Dragon, Lady of the Labyrinth, Ellen, Eric Taylor, Yvonne and Yvonne, Jenny Edivane, Marina, Wee Lauren, Nicholas Reed, Andrea, and Andy Bazil. Thank you ever so much as always, and I hope you are happy and healthy. And remember, books save lives, so keep reading.